Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us today on this week's edition of Hashtag Trending. My name is Ali Reza, and here are the hashtags that we'll look into for the next 10 minutes. So if you're ready, buckle up and let's hit the first story. All right, this first story needs a lot of context, so bear with me. GameStop is a video game retail store chain that hasn't been doing so hot lately in an increasingly digitalized video game marketplace. And these Wall Street hedge fund investors were betting on their failure by short selling their stock, basically forcing them into bankruptcy to turn a profit. But then this subreddit comes along full of memesters and amateur investors. They decide that they're going to save this company by buying their stocks as much as they can, forcing the prices to go through the roof from around $2 to $4 per share all the way up to over $300 and maybe even more as we speak. The Wall Street guys did not like this, so they stopped anyone else from buying any more shares, leaving them only with the option to sell. The people didn't like this either, and they decided that this was enough spark to reignite another Occupy Wall Street movement.
Now pay your share! What's fair is fair! Now pay your share! What's fair is fair! Now pay your share! Stop the inequity! Pay your share! Stop the inequity! And the austerity! Stop the inequity!
The events of the past week proved one more time just how powerful social media can be, in this case Reddit. Now let's check out what Twitter had to say about the stir that these guys on Reddit caused. We start from our first tweet by Ultimately Entertaining. They write, "Protesters reoccupy Wall Street after GameStop controversy." Take a look at this shot. It reads, "It's almost as cold as a banker's heart." This should be good. Let's take a look. All right, we got another protest video this time. It's by Bobby Levi. He writes, "New York Young Republican Committee President Gavin Wax on Robinhood app and Wall Street bets during today's rally to reoccupy Wall Street." A little bit of context before we watch the video. Robinhood app is the app that the retail investors, your average investor, use to buy GameStop stocks, and Wall Street bets is the name of that subreddit. All right, let's have a look.
Robinhood was supposed to be the good thing. Robinhood was supposed to allow the regular people to play the same game these big boys are playing. But instead, we were all taken for schmucks, and they screwed us. They prevented us from making an honest buck, and now they're laughing at us. But they're not going to be laughing forever, because what the Wall Street bets guys showed is that you could really have collective action to take a sledgehammer to these guys, and I hope it continues.
The irony of this whole thing is that Robinhood is supposed to get from the rich and give to the poor, but by removing the option to buy these stocks, the only option that these people have is to give back to the rich. It all started out as a joke, but it ended up hurting some of the richest billionaires on the planet. Or maybe that's what we think. Maybe in the end it didn't even put a dent in their pockets. Maybe it was just a way for people to make a statement, to flex their muscles after finding out about this newfound power of theirs. This TikTok shows better what I'm talking about by Doom Guy, one of my favorite video game characters. Let's have a look.
Oh, honey, what's wrong?
The poor people figured out how to take money from me and my friends.
Oh no, that's horrible. I'm sorry.
And now I won't be able to buy that golden yacht that I wanted.
Oh, honey, but you already own 3 of them.
I know, but I want a 4th one.
Oh, I'm sorry, but I know it'll make you feel better. You want to go throw rocks at homeless people?
Okay. That sounds good.
There's my brave little boy. Hey, last one to the Lamborghini's a rotten egg.
Hey, that's not fair. You got a head start.
All right, on to our last tweet about this story. Optimus says poor people are being attacked by the rich because they played the game better and outsmarted them. When I see Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Ben Shapiro and Donald Trump Jr. and Elizabeth Warren all come together on something, that's a pretty significant moment in American history. True that. And this picture perfectly encapsulates everything that I told you about the irony of Robinhood app. Money, that's the flow of money going to the evil, poor Redditors, and look at the billionaires over there. The world of politics is dirty business, yet in some sense reasonably predictable, especially to the veteran politicians. So it should have come as no surprise to Myanmar's leader, Aung San Suu Kyi, when the army staged a coup and dethroned her. After all, this is the same army who brutalized Rohingya Muslims under her watch. All right, Myanmar is back in the news after some time. Let's hit our tweet pool and see what the people have had to say about this coup de grace. Is that the right pronunciation? I don't know French, but I tried. So our first tweet comes from Rin Fujimatsu. She writes, thousands protest in 11 villages in Karen and Mon states demanding Myanmar military withdraw from their area and abide by nationwide ceasefire agreements. 5,000 have now fled, fighting in Karen since December. Let's have a look. Okay, I highly doubt that the military that just staged the coup will listen to the people, but here's hoping. Now, our next tweet comes from Phi Yin War. They write, there's police brutality and use of violence against the anti-coup protest in front of Myanmar embassy in Bangkok, Thailand. Police brutality, where have I heard that before? Let's take a look. Well, it's another week, and from the looks of things and how they've been turning out recently, another series of demonstrations and protests against COVID-19 restriction measures. So let's just get right back into it, this time starting from Paris. I get that this is an important issue and all, like all these protests across Europe and all the other parts of the world, but to be honest, I'm getting kind of bored talking about these protests over and over again. But if the people keep talking about it, we're going to have to keep covering it. So let's hit our Twitter pool with the first tweet by Sam Pai. He writes, leftists are seen attacking students, calling for the reopening of French universities and a change in government's health strategy. Let's have a look. That's healthy, good for France and its democracy. Our next tweet comes from European Union Club. They write, hundreds of Paris students join huge queue for food parcels amid COVID-19 pandemic. Yeesh. Roll the clip. See, they are doing this because regular grocery shopping is apparently no longer an option during this pandemic. All right, so let's hit our next tweet by Rupsley. They write, protesters denounce COVID restrictions in torchlit Aarhus March. Let's have a look. So that was for the Danish. Now let's check out the Libyan version of this protest. Adela Suleiman writes, several protesters were injured with live ammunition in Tripoli as the demonstrations against harsh economic conditions and a COVID lockdown intensified. Oof, let's have a look. All right, it's almost time to end our show, but there's one last thing I need to add. The Black Lives Matter movement has won Sweden's $100,000 Human Rights Prize. And on that note, I will end the show right here, right now. Until next week, take care and bye-bye.